Hi, I am Vidushi, and welcome to Daily News Simplified, an answer to what, why, and how of newspaper analysis from the UPSC perspective. Today, we have taken up five, five articles for your prelims and two articles for your mains. First question is based on Pir Panjal range because this region was in news because of rising terrorist activities in this region. Second question is based on INS Imphal because recently Indian Army commissioned this vessel. Third question based on low ash metallurgical coke because Tamil Nadu came up with IPO and this will fund low ash metallurgical coke. Then we have question on current account deficit because there's an article which highlights data published by RBI which talks about current account deficit. Then we have question on shorter treatment for minimal tuberculosis in children and this is known as SHINE trial and finding of this trial is quite helpful in treating TB in India and across globe. Then we have two main slated topic. First one is based on inclusive growth because there is an article which talks about different strategies which will lead to inclusive growth. And another we have on secularism because there was an article based on suit on Gyanvapi Mosque in Varanasi which triggered the debate of secularism. So that's why we have taken up this topic. Okay. And if you find this initiative useful, do like, share, and subscribe our videos. So, without wasting much time, let's start with our discussion. First question is based on this news article, which appeared on page number 10. Context is that militants have changed track in Jammu and Kashmir and inflicted more casualties on army compared to with other security wings in year 2023 by turning Pir Panjal Valley into a new battleground. As I told you why this was in news because of rising terrorist activities. Now, UPSC has been asking question based on different peak and mountains. Like this question came in year 2022, which was based on similar theme. So here we have taken up practice question based on Pir Panjal range. So the first statement is Pir Panjal is the largest range of Lesser Himalayas. Second statement is Banehal Pass in Greater Himalayas is the main gateway to the Valley of Kashmir from the Indian plains. And third statement is it runs southwest to northeast between the Beas and Kishanganga river. So three statements are there and you need to find out the correct one. Okay. So to answer this, first we should know basic about Pir Panjal range. So Pir Panjal range, it is the longest chain of mountains lie in Lesser Himalayas. Okay. Now you know Lesser Himalayas lie between Greater Himalayas and Outer Himalayas. Outer Himalayas also known as, yes, Shivaliks. And Lesser Himalayas also known as Middle Himalayas. Why? Because they lie between Greater Himalayas and Outer Himalayas and also known as Himalaya. Okay. It ran across three states. It ran across two states, Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh and Pak occupied Kashmir. Okay. In which direction? In southeast to northwest. Okay. Between Beas river and Kishanganga river. Okay. Here in this map, you can see Pir Panjal range. Okay. Now, tell me the highest point of this range. Yes, in Rasil. This is the highest point of Pir Panjal range. And it at the bank of Satluj river, it dissociate from the rest of the Himalaya. Okay, and it create a divide, or it form a divide between Bias and Ravi on one side and Chenab on another side. Okay, so these are the important facts with respect to Pir Panjal range. Now in this map you can see that it create or it divide Kashmir Valley from Jammu region. Okay, and it consists of two important passes, Pir Panjal Pass and yes, Banihal Pass, most important one. Banihal in Kashmiri means blizzard, and if you know the meaning of blizzard, write in the comment box. So Banihal Pass is the gateway to the Valley of Kashmir from the plains, rest of the Indian plains. Okay, so there are two important passes in Pir Panjal range, Banihal and Pir Panjal. It is the longest chain of mountain lie in Lesser Himalayas, correct? And Lesser Himalayas also known as Middle Himalayas, and they lie between Greater Himalayas and Outer Himalayas. Outer Himalayas also known as Shivaliks. Yes, it cut across two states, Jammu and Kashmir and Himachal Pradesh, and Pak occupied Kashmir. In which direction? Southeast to northwest. Okay. Now, based on this information, let's solve our MCQ. First is, Pir Panjal is the largest range of the Lesser Himalayas. Correct? It is the largest chain of mountains of Lesser Himalayas. So with this, our first statement is correct. Banihal Pass in Greater Himalaya is the main gateway to the Valley of Kashmir from the Indian plain. So half of the statement is correct here, because Banihal Pass is the main gateway to the Valley of Kashmir from the Indian plains, but it is not in Greater Himalayas, it is in, yes, Middle Himalayas or Lesser Himalayas. So with this, our second statement is incorrect. Now it runs southwest to northeast between Beas and Kishan Ganga river. Now if you can see this image, it runs southeast to northwest. Okay, so this makes our third statement incorrect. So here only one statement is correct, so our answer is only one. Okay, answer of this PYQ is option B. Now come to the next question, which is based on this news article which appeared on page number 18 in the Indian Express. Context is that INS Imphal, the third vessel among the 4 cell-guided missile destroyers of the INS Visakhapatnam class, was officially commissioned into the Indian Navy. And these ships were constructed as part of Project 15B. Okay, so this article is about Project 15B. So here we have taken a practice question on Project 15B, and UPSC has been asking a question based on upgradation in technology with respect to defense. Like there was a question on Agni 4 missile in year 2014. So in this practice question, you are provided with two statements and you need to find out the correct one. First statement is 3 Visakhapatnam class stealth-guided missile destroyers are to be introduced. Second is COGAG configuration enable the missile destroyers to attain a range of 4,000 nautical miles. So to answer this, what you need to know? You need to know basics about Project 15B. Yes. See, these Project 15B, Project 15A, these project consist of class of naval ships which have common weaponry, common capabilities, common tonnage. So on that criteria, we have different projects like Project 15A, Project 15B. So Project 15B is advanced version of Project 15A. Yes. Project 15A. In 2014, between 2014 and 18, Indian Navy commissioned 3 vessels, 3 stealth-guided missile destroyer of which class? Of INS Kolkata class. So first one was INS Kolkata, second INS Kochi, and third INS Chennai. So under Project 15A, there was 3 guided missile destroyers, of which class? INS Kolkata. Okay. Then we got advanced version of Project 15A, that is Project 15B. And it involved the construction of 4 self-guided missile destroyers of INS Vishakhapatnam class. Okay. Project 15A, Kolkata class. Project 15B, INS Vishakhapatnam class. The first one is this, or the lead ship in this is INS Vishakhapatnam, commissioned in year 2021. Then we have second ship INS Mormugao, joined the fleet in year 2022. Then we have INS Imphal, the third one. Article is about this vessel. Okay. So this vessel among guided missile destroyers has been officially commissioned. Okay. And fourth one, anticipated to be named as INS Surat, upon commissioning was launched in year 2022. So there are 4 vessels in this category, that is Project 15B. All these vessels are constructed by Mazigaon Dock Shipbuilder Limited, MDSL, and this is designed by Warship Design Bureau, which is Navy's in-house entity for warship designs. Okay, so this is all about Project 15B. Now let's solve our practice question. First is, with respect to Project 15B, there are 3 Vishakhapatnam class self-guided missile destroyers are to be introduced. Now, as I told you, in Project 15B, we have 4 guided missile destroyers of INS Vishakhapatnam class. Okay, so with this, our first statement is incorrect. Second statement is COGAG or combined gas and gas configuration that is COGAC. This is combined gas and gas configuration. It consists of gas turbine, gas chamber, this gas chamber turbine which enable this vessel to get the speed or maximum speed of 30 knots, which will help to attain range of 4,000 nautical miles. Okay. So this is one of the important feature of this class. With this, our second statement is correct. Another important feature of this class is TACS. That is Total Atmospheric Control System. Let me write for you. Total Atmospheric Control System. Another important feature of this class, because this system will safeguard crew from nuclear attack, biological attack, chemical weapon. Okay, this is quite important one. So we have 2 important features. One is COGAC, that is combined gas and gas configuration. For what? To attain 4,000 nautical miles. Then second, we have TACS, that is Total Atmospheric Control System, to safeguard crew from nuclear, chemical and biological weapon. Okay. So here our answer is option B, that is 2 only, because second statement is correct and first statement is incorrect. Answer of this PYQ is option A. Now, let's come to the next question, which is based on this news article, which appeared on page number 13 in the Hindu newspaper. Context is that, as I told you, that Tamil Nadu came up with coke IPO to fund low ash coke output. Okay. Now, UPSC has been asking questions based on different aspects related to coal, coke. So here, like in year 2013, there was a question based on characteristics of Indian coal. So here we have curated practice question based on low ash metallurgical coke. Okay. Here you are provided with 3 statements and you need to find out the incorrect one. Okay. So the first statement is coke is formed when the coal is heated in the presence of air. Second, it has a very high volatile material And third, it is mainly used in pig iron industry. So to answer this, what we should know? We should know what is coke. As you can see, there's an image of coke here. So coke is a grey, hard and porous. See, grey, hard and porous coal-based fuel. Okay, with a very high carbon content and few impurities. So what it is? It is a grey, hard and porous coal-based fuel with very high coal content and less impurities. Now the question is how it is made. It is made by heating of coal in the absence of air. In the absence of air, coke is made by heating of coal, and this process is known as destructive distillation process. This process is known as destructive distillation process. Now you tell me where we can use coke. First, in smelting iron ore, it is used as a fuel. Third, it is used in making pig iron, which in turn is used in making steel. Okay. Now we have two different types of coke. First is MET. Article is about this metallurgical low ash coke. This is basically carbon material manufactured by which process? By destructive distillation process of various blends of bituminous coal. It is a type of coal. So by using various blends of bituminous coal with the process of destructive distillation process, we have MET. And another type of coke is pet coke. And if you know, write in the comment box. Okay, this MET is having a low volatile content or low volatile material. So we have two different type of coke. One is MET, metallurgical. Second is PET. And if you know, write in the comment box. And MET is made up of carbon under the process of distillation, destructive process, consists of various blends of bituminous coal. Okay, so now you know the basics about coke. Let's solve this question. Low ash metallurgical coke, this is MET. Just now we have discussed. Coke is formed when the coal is heated in the absence of air. No, coke is formed when coal is heated in the absence, not in the presence of air. And this process is known as, yes, destructive distillation process. Second, it has very high volatile material. Just now we have discussed about MET, that it is a carbon material manufactured by destructive distillation process involving various blends of bituminous coal. Okay, and it consists of low volatile material. So this makes our second statement incorrect. This makes our first statement incorrect. Third statement is it is used mainly in pig iron industry. As I told you that coke is used in pig iron industry, which in turn used in steel industry. And that is why Tamil Nadu came up with coke IPO. Okay. So here in this image, you can see consumption pattern of met coke. Pig industry consists of 75%, foundry 15%, ferroalloy 5% and others 5%. So maximum contribution is from contribution to pig iron industry. So this makes our third statement correct. So here we need to find out the incorrect one. So our answer is option B, only 2. If question is about to find out the correct one, then definitely our answer is option A. That is only one. Okay. So try to keep a tab on these words, incorrect and correct. Okay. Answer of this PYQ is option A, 1 and 2 only. Now our next question is based on this news article which appeared on page number 13 in the Hindu newspaper. Context of this article is that as per the RBI's data, India's current account deficit declined to $8.3 billion, which is 1% of the country's GDP. Okay. To understand this article, you need to know about what is current account deficit. And why we have taken question based on this? Because UPSC has been asking question based on different terms of economy like balance of payment, capital account, current account. In 2014, there was a question based on balance current account deficit. So here we have taken a practice question on similar theme. So question says, with reference to balance of payment, consider the following factors: increase in import intensive consumption, moderation in oil prices, jump in net service exports, increase in domestic inflation, and what we need to find out? We need to find out that how many of the factors given above can narrow down the current account deficit. So for that, you need to know what is current account deficit. So now, see current account deficit as an image. It consists of record of trade in goods, trade in services, and transfer payments. So record of all these three and record of these three like trade in goods, services, and transfer payment is equal to current account. Basically, current account entail these three. Now, trade in goods consists of export of goods and imports of goods. Trade and services consist of net factor income, which is from compensation of employees, net investment income. We have net non-factor income also, which is coming from shipping, banking, insurance, tourism, etc. And then we have transfer payment. See, what are transfer payment? Transfer payment is a receipt which resident of country get for free without adding any kind of work or without doing any kind of work or service in return of that. So it's a fee receipt in form of gifts, remittances, and grants. Okay. Now, we know what is current account. To understand more, let's understand one concept here. Suppose there are two countries, A and B. A is India, B is any other nation. If A is importing any good here, so expenditure will count here and income will count, yes, in this nation. Because we taken up expenditure to import products from other nation like B nation. So here importing of goods will decrease demand for goods and services in the domestic country. Okay. Same if two nations A and B. If A is exporting means adding value to your country, bringing income to your country. Okay, so income will come here and expenditure will come, yes, here. Now, because they are importing. So here, exporting will add up demand or domestic demand with respect to goods and services. Okay. I make you understand this because then only you will able to understand that different factors can narrow down current account deficit or widen current account deficit? So to understand that, you need to understand this. Okay, so what is balanced current account deficit? If receipt on current account is equal to receipt or payment on current account, so then we have balanced current account. If receipt on current account is greater than payment on current account, then we have current account surplus. That means country is providing, country is a lender here. Okay, and if receipt on current account is less than payment on current account, then there is a current account deficit. That means country is borrower here. Okay, now let's solve this practice question. Import, we need to find out factors which can narrow down the current account deficit. Increase in import intensive consumption. Now, when import will increase, definitely it will increase our expenditure. Yes. If our expenditure will increase, definitely it will increase our current account deficit. Got it? Then we have moderation in oil prices. If there is moderation in oil prices, definitely it will reduce the pressure on balance of payment. Why? Because India is a net importer of crude oil. So we need to pay less. Yes. This can work as a factor to narrow down current account deficit. Then jump in next net export, services export. Just now I told you, if we export more, we are creating income in our country. We are increasing domestic demand with respect to goods and services. So definitely it will narrow down the current account deficit. Yes. Then we have increase in domestic inflation. Increase in domestic inflation definitely will make the product or export product costly. Less demand, less export. Less export means less income. Got it? That means it will not be useful in narrowing down the current account deficit. So only two factors in the given option can narrow down the current account deficit: moderation in oil prices and jump in net services export. Okay, so we need to find out the correct one. So our answer is option B, that is only 2. Answer of this PYQ is option C. Okay. Our last question is based on this news article, which appeared on page number 13 in the Hindu newspaper. Context of this news article is that tuberculosis treatment poses a challenge due to long, difficult medication regimes. So recent studies suggest shorter duration treatment. That is all about the SHINE trial. And this has shown effectiveness in both adults and children. So it is quite crucial to enhance TB management. Okay. So on similar theme with respect to upgradation in health sector, there was a question based on Wolbachia method which came in year 2023. Here we have taken a practice question based on shorter treatment for minimal tuberculosis in children, that is SHINE trial, which is based on similar theme or same theme. And in this question, you need to find out the correct statements. Okay. So the first one is, it is open label trial comparing 4 versus 6 months of drug treatment in children with non-severe TB, and trial conducted globally in high TB burden countries. So 2 statements are there. First, to answer this, you need to know about what is SHINE trial. See, there was a study that 2/3 of the children with TB, they have non-severe symptoms. Okay, so for non-severe symptoms, we need to have a short duration of treatment and not the long one. And for that, WHO came up with the SHINE trial, which is shorter treatment for minimal tuberculosis in children. Minimal tuberculosis means non-severe in children. Okay. So basically, this trial is an open label trial which compare 4 months of treatment versus 6 months, which is standard treatment for tuberculosis. And this trial composed of 4 versus 6 months of treatment with anti-TB medicines. These medicines are mentioned here. Okay. And this trial is conducted in 4 countries: India, Zambia, Uganda, and South Africa. Okay. Now you know the potential benefit of this trial. Shorter treatment means it can cure the patient faster, which is a transformational, and also makes TB program more feasible. Also, less severe TB will reduce. Shortened treatment means less medicines, so it will reduce the chance of drug adverse reactions. Okay, so these are the benefits of this treatment. Now let's solve our practice question. SHINE is open label trial comparing 4 versus 6 months of drug treatment in children with non-severe TB, correct? This trial conducted globally in high TB burden countries, incorrect, because this trial conducted in 4 countries and India is part of that: India, Zambia, Uganda, and South Africa. So with this, our second statement is incorrect. So our answer is option A, that is 1 only. And answer of this PYQ is option A. Wolbachia method is to control viral diseases spread by mosquitoes. So that's all from the pre-section. If you have any doubt, please drop your doubts in our comment box. Now let's come to the mains discussion. Our first topic for mains, that is inclusive growth, which is based on this news article which appeared on page 6. So context is that Raghuram Ranjan and Rohit Lamba in their book name is Breaking the Mold, Reimagining India's Economic Future. So Raghuram Ranjan and Rohit Lamba argue that to achieve inclusive growth, India need to jump directly to the high-end export of services. And they should give up policies which are based on manufacturing sector. But here, author of this article put a counter view and he argued that India has been doing the same since last 30 years and failed immensely with respect to low income and low job creation. So now it's high time to focus on manufacturing sector just like China, rather than focusing on high-end services as suggested by Raghuram Ranjan and Rohit Lamba in their book. Okay. So now this article talks about inclusive growth. And this inclusive growth is mentioned in your syllabus under GS paper 3. Also, UPSC has been asking questions based on important aspects related to inclusive growth. Like in year 2020, there was a question which talks about intra-generational and intergenerational issues of equity from the perspective of inclusive growth. Then in year 2019, there was a question. Strategy of inclusive growth is intended to meet the objectives of inclusiveness and sustainability together. Comment. So, in this discussion, we'll talk about basics of inclusive growth. What are the challenges pertaining to achieving in India? And we'll end our discussion with a way forward. So, let's start with what is inclusive growth. According to United Nations Development Programme, that is UNDP, inclusive growth is process and outcomes where a group of people participated in the process of growth. For what? To have maximum benefit out of it, or to have equitable benefit from it. So in that process, so inclusive growth is consist of two terms, process and outcome. Now what does process means here? Process means here creating opportunities. Creating opportunities. Now how you will create opportunities? By creating jobs? Yes. By developing human resource? Correct. So process means creating opportunities. How? By creating jobs, by developing human resource. Second, we have outcome. Now, what does outcome means here? Outcome means here income redistribution. In what sense? To spend more on expenditure which is related to vulnerable section. Okay, so we should have income redistribution for the betterment of vulnerable section. That means outcome here. Okay, so inclusive growth consists of two words, process and outcome. Now you must have heard about welfare approach also. Now what is welfare approach? Welfare approach solely focus on outcomes. That means it is basically dependent on providing assistance rather than enabling population in the journey of growth. But here, inclusive growth solve this issue also, because inclusive growth involves policies which talks about bringing poor population in the process of growth or in the process of economic development. So here empowering poor population to achieve outcome. Okay, so that is the difference between inclusive growth and welfare approach. Now inclusive growth based on three pillars. First is economic growth. That means increased productivity along with better employment. As I told you, creating opportunities. Okay. Then we have social inclusion. Social inclusion how? When we have equity with respect to social services like health, education, etc. Then we have environment sustainability, development along with protection and prevention of environment for future generation. Okay, so development need to be there, but what we need to have? We need to have sustainable development by keeping future generation in mind. So these are the three important pillars of inclusive growth. Okay, so now you know what is inclusive growth. Why it is so important? See, India witnessed a lot of progress if you talk about with respect to GDP. In 1991, from 1991, India's GDP has increased from $275 billion to $3 trillion in year 2022. So India's GDP has increased. India is also one of the fastest growing economy, but still current model is failed because it couldn't able to provide balanced, inclusive, sustainable growth. And to achieve that, what we need to have, we need to have inclusive growth. We need to focus on both process and outcome, not only on the outcome. Okay. So now let's see what are the challenges. First challenge here is problem with poverty eradication program. Why it is a challenge? Because this poverty eradication program struggling with because of various factors. First is identification of beneficiaries. This is the first challenge. This may be because of outdated data. This may be because of lack of verification mechanism. So because of that, there is poor identification of beneficiaries. Second, we have ghost beneficiaries. Another challenge is in terms of ghost beneficiaries. Now, who are ghost beneficiaries? Actually, beneficiaries who do not actually exist, or they are not eligible for the benefits, but still their name is present in the list. And these beneficiaries are known as ghost beneficiaries. Okay. Then third, we have poor implementation. This may be because of structural issue, logistic issue. Then we have transparency issue, transparency and accountability. Then we have corruption issue because of poor transparency and accountability. So because of these factors, we couldn't able to achieve our goal to eradicate poverty. Now, this is not the only problem. Because of these factors, few are successful in cornering resources. Cornering resources. So, it led to cornering of resources by few. Now, if few will corner the resources, what will happen? It will give rise to inequality, which is another challenge. Got it? And that is why NSSO came with a report that around 40 to 60% of food grains do not reach to the intended beneficiaries because of black marketing, because of diversion of food grains. So because of that, 40 to 60% of the food grains do not reach to the intended beneficiaries. Okay. So first problem is problem with poverty eradication program. Second is with respect to unemployment. Just now we have seen that India is witnessing high economic growth. Okay. But this high economic growth has not been able to translate it well in high economic opportunities. So high economic growth is there, but it is not well translated in high economic opportunities. So it will lead to, yes, jobless growth. Got it? Now, this jobless growth is because of multiple factors. First one is automation. Yes, automation is automation increase productivity. Okay. But it failed to add lot of labor in the process. Okay. Second, shift from labor intensive to capital intensive industries. Again, less labor, less employment. Then we have mismatch with respect to skill. Jobs are there, but people are not well skilled. So again, no job, less employment. Then we have strict labor regulation, which sometimes discourage employer to hire more people. Again, less employment. So economic growth is there, but we don't have that much economic opportunities. And that's why we are having jobless growth, which is another concern. Then Because of this periodic labor force survey by NSSO 2022 and 23, currently India's unemployment rate is 3.2%. Okay, so 3% of the India's labor is unemployed. Now, if you see this proportion percentage wise, if you compare with India's population, you will find it's quite low. But if you translate it into figure, then according to this, 2 crore Indians or 2 crore people are unemployed. Okay. So this survey provided by NSSO. Then another challenge is with respect to decline in agricultural income. Now you know 44% of the population is engaged in agriculture sector, right? And this sector itself facing issue like rising rising input costs. You take it a high input cost of like high seed cost, fertilizer cost, infrastructure cost. So right, rising input cost is there, coupled with less productivity or falling agricultural productivity. Falling agricultural productivity. This may be because of water scarcity, this may be because of soil degradation. So because of that, we are having falling agricultural productivity. Multiple factors are there. I just counted 2. Then we have falling income. In what sense? Now farmers are earning less income on their agricultural produce. So falling income is also there. And combination of these factors lead to fall in farmers' income. Got it? Now farmers' income will fall. Definitely, he will not have enough amount to invest in technology or upgrade technology to improve productivity. So less income, that means less saving. Less saving means less investment. Less investment means low agricultural productivity. Now, low agricultural again means less money, less saving. So, it's a vicious cycle here. So, they will be entangled in this vicious cycle or debt vicious cycle. So, that is why NSSO came with a fact here that average monthly income of agricultural household is around 6,500, whereas monthly expenditure is around 6,250. Now you know what will be the saving here. So, as I told you, less saving means less investment to increase agricultural productivity. Again, falling agricultural productivity means less earning, less saving. So, it's a vicious cycle, which is another challenge with respect to inclusive growth. Then we have equitable distribution of income. We have a lack of equitable distribution of income, and this will give rise to what? Income disparity. Yes, income disparity. Again, it is well, this factor is well substantiated by a fact provided by UNDP, that top 10% of the population get 57% of national income, and top 1% they get 22% of national income. So you can see the stark difference between the two segments. Top 10 getting 57% and top 1% getting 22%. Okay. So that is why benefits of growth are not widely shared. And the time benefits of growth are not widely shared, we will face the problem of not having inclusive growth. So next challenge is poor expenditure in basic services. Now, what are those basic services? Yes, education and health. Education and health. Now you tell me currently how much India is spending on education? Tell. Yes, 3% of the GDP. And if you can recall, in NEP we put a target of 6%. Still 3% short is there. This 3% short will lead to gaps in educational infrastructure, teachers' quality, research facilities, and all these factors will affect the quality of education. Got it? Same if you talk about health sector. Currently, how much we are spending? 1.3% of the GDP. And expected one, 3%. So again, shortfall is there, which give rise to new gaps, which will hamper uh, accessibility or quality of healthcare in India, which is again a challenge because this in future will create inequality. So how it will solve the purpose of inclusive growth? So we need to spend more. Okay. Then we have imbalanced regional development. See, we have developed states like Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and we have and these developed states are because of factors like geographical factors, economical factors. Because of these multiple factors, we have developed states like Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, Maharashtra. But on the other side, we have low developed states like northeastern states. So again, there is a disparity, imbalanced regional development. Plus, there is undeveloped pockets in developed states like Saurashtra in Gujarat, Vidarbha in Maharashtra. So these are undeveloped pockets in developed states. So again, what is there? Inequality is there, imbalanced growth is there. So we can see that we have horizontal and vertical inequality. Now, when we have horizontal and vertical inequality, definitely it will give rise to social tension. Again, it is a roadblock in achieving inclusive growth. Okay. Then we have environmental hazards. Now, you know that environmental hazards like extreme weather events, you take it earthquake, you take it floods, you take it droughts, they impact which segment of the population the most? Yes, vulnerable section. In that, particularly SC, ST, and women. Got it? So, again, because of these extreme events, this segment will always be in a loop of poverty. And most of the time, it is difficult for the government also to pull them out of that chain. So, again, because of these extreme events, there will be inequality, which is another challenge. Got it? Then we have social exclusion. See, we have many constitutional provisions to safeguard people from facing different kind of discrimination. But still, we have many cases witnessing fractures on the line of caste, gender, religion, region. And because discrimination on all these angles will not only affect individuals' right, it will also create difficulty in tapping the potential for state also. See, if we couldn't able to utilize or if there is underutilized talent is there or underutilized human resources there, underutilized potential is there, because of what? Because of rising discrimination, then again it is a challenge. So that is why social exclusion is one of the challenge in the journey towards inclusive growth. Got it? So these are the important challenges in achieving inclusive growth. Poverty, we discussed different domains where poverty eradication programs are falling. Then we have employment. We have economic growth, but that growth couldn't able to translate well in economic opportunities, lead to jobless growth. Again, a challenge, inequality. Then we have decline in agricultural income because of various factors. Now, falling agricultural productivity, falling agricultural produce price, rising input cost. Definitely, it will lead to fall in farmers' income. Again, less saving. Remember that vicious cycle? That is debt cycle. Then we have equitable distribution of income. We have a lack of proper equitable distribution of income that lead to income disparity. And we well substantiated that point with UNDP report that 10% holds 57% of the national income and 1% 22. So stark differences there. Then we have poor expenditure in health and education. Then we have imbalanced regional development, and we have underdeveloped pockets in developed states, which is a cause of concern also, or it gives rise to social tension also. Then we have a problem with respect to environmental hazard, how it impact the vulnerable communities the most. Then we have social exclusion, fractures based on different lines, religion, caste, etc. So these are important challenges. Now, whether government has taken initiative in this regard or not, yes, government has taken. We have Manrega, Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme. We have Mudra Bank scheme. We have Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan to reform our education system. We have Swachh Bharat Mission. We have Ayushman Bharat Mission. But still, there are multiple factors on which government can do a lot. And what are those? First, way ahead in this regard is implementation of programs. See, just now we have programs. Then where's the problem? Problem lies in stringent and targeted execution of poverty elevation programs. So what we need, that poverty elevation program should be targeted and stringent. Okay. Then another suggestion is with respect to education and skill development. See, this point we have already discussed that currently we are witnessing jobless growth. Why? Because our education system is not able to provide, not able to fulfill the demand of industries by providing quality education, which is well aligned with the industry demand. And that is why in NEP we talk a lot about vocational education. So, accessibility to quality education, which is well aligned with industrial demand of the job market, should be ensured. Plus, vocational training from the school level itself should be taken up. Okay. The next suggestion is with respect to rural development, because we need to bridge the gap between different regions. Unbalanced development we are having. So to balance out, we need to develop or empower our rural communities. For that, what is needed is investment in backward and forward linkages to agricultural sector should be taken up. Another important factor is to promote rural entrepreneurship. Okay. And easy access to credit and technology. Okay. So with these three, there's high chances to develop or to have a rural development. Then expenditure on social services. Just now, we have discussed that there's a short of 3% investment in education sector. India is spending only 1.3% of GDP in health. And what is the needed or what is the mandated amount is 3%. So, suggestion is to improve as much to match the at least global average. And it will improve accessibility and quality. Then another suggestion is to promote balanced regional development, to cut down that social unrest or social tension between different regions. What is needed is to incentivize development of industries in backward areas. Okay. Then government must invest heavily in infrastructure sector. Why? Because it is labor intensive sector, more jobs. Okay. Then we have another measure with respect to climate resilient measures. Why? Because extreme events impact the vulnerable section the most. So, first, we need to have climate resilient technologies. Second, we need to invest on preparedness and response capabilities for vulnerable sections, which should be promoted through training and workshops. Okay. And last but not the least, definitely to curb social exclusion. So, capabilities of vulnerable sections should be improved through upskilling and reskilling. And obviously, sensitization and awareness campaigns for promoting the significance of inclusive development. And now I will like to end this discussion with respect to inclusive growth, that government has to realize that ease of living is much wider if you compare with ease of doing business. Okay. And ultimately, it is well aligned with Gandhi's philosophy also. Philosophy of putting the last man first should be the sole guiding light for the government policies. Okay. So that's all with respect to inclusive growth. Now, let's come to our next topic or last topic for our main discussion, that is secularism, which is based on this article which appeared on page 6 in the Hindu newspaper. And as you can see, this theme is quite important from UPSC perspective because it is mentioned in your syllabus as well under GS paper 1. Also, UPSC has been asking questions based on similar theme. Like in 2019, UPSC framed a question on challenges to what are the challenges to our cultural practices in name of secularism. Then there's a question in 2018. There was a question. This question says as how the Indian concept of secularism different from Western model of secularism. You know that we have two models of secularism that we'll discuss in our further discussion. So let's start our discussion. Now, what is secularism? In a layman language, secularism is basically that it is a belief that religion should not have control over government and society. It supports the idea that everyone can follow their own religion. It is their choice not to follow any religion. It is their choice to convert in other religion. It is their choice. So basically, secularism promotes equality among different religion. Or religion, there's no difference between uh, people following different religion or people who is not following any religion. So secularism is basically a belief that religion should not have a control over government and society. Okay. And that is why, and because of this understanding, we have two different models. First is Western model of secularism. Second is Indian model of secularism. And we'll see the difference of between both the models. And even UPSC framed question on this aspect. Okay. So we have Western model and we have Indian model. See, in Western model, there is a strict separation between religious institution and state function. Okay. So there's a strict separation between religious institution and state function, and here state act as a neutral candidate, not following any particular religion. Okay, that means not favoring any religion. This is one of the key aspect of Western model of secularism. But in Indian, we have not absolute separation between religious institution and state. So here state is at a principal distance. That means that though state is secular, not having any official religion, but it can interfere in religious matters. Why? To promote equality among different religions. Okay, so here there's a strict separation. Here, not that much strict. So here, separation is not absolute. Now, in Western model, it recognizes individual rights over collective rights. Here, that additional concession to collective right is not there. Here, primacy given to individual rights. So here, primarily importance given to individual right in Western model. And in Indian model, it recognizes both individual right and collective rights. So, individual right and collective rights. Then here, public display of religion or religious feeling or culture is not allowed if you talk about Western model of secularism. So here, public disclosure or public display of religious symbols is not allowed. Is not allowed. But here, under Indian model, freedom for open practice of religious symbols or religious symbols or religious open display is allowed of religious symbols. So here we can see that we have that freedom to celebrate religious festivals, to carry religious symbols under Indian model of secularism. But under Western model, it is not allowed because there's a strict separation between state and religious, state function and religious institutions. Okay. Then next we have religious educational institutions do not receive fund from state under Western model. So religious institution, educational institution, religious educational institutions, they do not receive any kind of funding from state. But here it's not like that. Here educational institution receive funding from state. Okay. Then state do not interfere in religious matter. That means state do not participate in reforming religious matters. But here, in under Indian model of secularism, state openly participate in reforming religious matters like abolition of untouchability, child marriage, etc. So here it is not allowed, and here state can play active role in reforming religious problems. Okay. Under Western model, we have uniform civil code. Here, different aspects like marriage governed by uniform code, irrespective of any religion. It is common to all citizens, irrespective of any religion. But in India, we do not have, till now, we do not have uniform civil code. So here, personal aspects like inheritance, adoption, divorce, all these are governed by personal laws. So here, primacy is given to cultural and religious identities under Indian model of secularism. Okay, so these are the important differences between Western model and Indian model. There's a strict separation between a state and a religious institution under Western, but in Indian we can see integrated approach. Then here individual rights given more primacy, but here equal recognition to individual as well as collective rights. Here state state cannot invest or provide fund to educational religious educational institute, but here state can. Here public display of, under Western model, public display of religious symbol is not allowed, or it is limited to religious facilities. But in India or in Indian model of secularism, it is allowed. State cannot interfere or can bring reforms with respect to religious matters. It is a there's a because there's a strict difference, strict separation. But here, state can openly participate in the process in bringing reform. Here we do not have. Here we have uniform civil code, but here we do not have uniform civil code. Different aspects still governed by personal laws, which is varies with respect to different religion. Okay, so these are the important differences between Western and Indian model. Now, our constitution do talk about different, provided different articles with respect to secularism, like preamble declares India as a secular democratic republic. We do not have any official religion. Then article 15, 16, 25, 27, 28, 29, all these articles talk about secularism. Okay. Now, let's talk about what are the challenges with respect to Indian secularism. We know the difference from Western world or from the Western model. Now let's talk about the different challenges which is limited to Indian secularism. The first challenge in this is identity politics. Now politicians may appeal vote on the basis of religion by providing a certain benefit to one community, like one religion, like Hindus or Muslims. And definitely it will bring exclusion of other religion from this or it will lead to a feeling of exclusion because of this vote based appeal which is restricted to religion. Okay, then second is religious extremism. Let's understand this with the help of example, that suppose a group of people, they enforce, suppose, Hindu law as a state law. Definitely it will give rise to social tension, and definitely in long run it will hamper the social fabric. Then we have another challenge, that is lack of secularization. See, state do not have any official religion. It is secular. State is secular, but still society is not secular. Society is still following religion. This we can see that many social programs, many social activities, they resemble the custom of they resemble Hindu custom. So definitely other communities will feel that they are outsiders. So that is lack of secularization. State is secular, but society is not secular. Okay. Then we have global impact. See, war or terrorism is basically targeting Islamic extremism or fundamentalism. So basically, it can interfere or it can create a suspicion on Muslims in India, which is another major challenge, because this will affect India's commitment to provide equal respect to all the religions because of global impact. Then low development of minorities, as said by such a committee, that Muslims in India are not or less well off if you compare even with low caste Hindus. If you put that comparison, Hindus are not or very less well off, and you can see this in if you talk about uh, employment ratio, if you talk about poverty with respect to Muslim population. So this majorly highlighted by such a committee. Then another challenges are election and first past the post system, because this system majorly it lead parties to focus only on major community, that is Hindus, and ignoring the need of minorities. Okay, and this we can see that we have less candidates from the Muslim population. There is a use of religious symbols in the elections. Why? Because of the problem of election and first past the post system. So these are the important challenges which is limited to Indian secularism, or which is related to Indian secularism. Identity politics, which is vote appeals based on religion. Then we have religious extremism. Then we have lack of secularization, because state is secular but society is not secular. So we can see that fissures between the two. Then we have global impact. Then low development of minorities, as highlighted by Sachar committee. Then problem with respect to our election and first past the post system, because this system give or encourage parties to give importance to major communities and ignoring the needs of minorities. So this is a problem. So now we know the challenges. So what should be the way ahead? First is to provide equal opportunities commission, as suggested by such a committee, to investigate grievances of deprived communities like minorities. Then to have a nomination procedure to for what, to increase the participation of minorities in public bodies. Then to establish a delimitation procedure that do not reserve constituencies with high minority population. Then to increase employment share of Muslims. Then we have suggestion with respect to RPN model code of conduct, strict enforcement of RPN model code of conduct. Why? Which bars flaring of communal tension during election, of vote appeals based on religion. So it should curb vote appeal based on religion. Then we have high time to have secular values in education. So introduction of values and benefits of secularism in school curriculum. Then to have National Integration Council, which should be operationalized, and frequent meetings should be conducted. Then to strengthen national communities for minorities. It will give a sense of security and safeguard their rights. So that's all with respect to secularism. And if you have any doubt, please drop your doubt. Our team tried to resolve as soon as possible. And if you like this video, do like, share, and subscribe. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more such updates. Thank you.